Hello, and thanks for joining the Credit Mix, where credit and finance meets news of the week. I'm Sandra Bernardo, Manager of Consumer Education.
And I'm Kerrie Roberts, Community Manager of Social.
And we're happy to be with you this Wednesday. I was thinking about a couple things in the news recently, lots to talk about today.
Yes.
And, we both caught Golden Globes, which kind of was like the big thing, right?
Yeah, they were so great. It was a great show, great speech by Oprah. It was a lot of great winners, a lot of good shows. We had a viewing party, actually, some friends and I did. We all got together and did a dinner and watched the show. And so lots of fun and great shows that I'm starting to watch actually right now after seeing them win.
There was a lot to talk about in terms of the whole Golden Globes, right? And one part of it that was interesting to me that you mentioned was the fact that a lot of the shows that were winners are actually on premium channels, which a lot of people might not be able to have.
Yeah, so some of the big ones for that night were, Handmaid's Tale, which is a Hulu original series there. So, of course, Hulu comes with a subscription price every month. It isn't just part of regular TV, as well as Big Little Lies, great series on HBO, which is also a premium when it comes to cable TV, as well as an add-on even for Amazon or Hulu as well. So I think a lot of times, now that people maybe watch, the Golden Globes, took a look at those shows and thinking, oh my gosh, I want to watch this too, must be fascinating. That's how I felt about Handmaid's Tale. I started it last night. I do have a Hulu subscription, but think about maybe people that are now going to try to incorporate that cost, the $7.99, the $99, whatever it is, the price associated with that, just to watch those shows because they were big winners and they must be really good.
Yeah, but that can add up too.
Absolutely.
So, for example, if that's where I think a lot of times your cable bill sort of gets out of control because you want to add in all of these premium channels and different streams. So like Hulu, how much does that cost?
Hulu is $7.99, and then that's for the limited commercials, and then $11.99 if you don't want any commercials. So there also is an add-on where HBO now offers, HBO obviously can be like an added premium to your regular cable channel, but they do have what they call HBO Now, and so that can actually be a standalone like subscription service, just same way like how Amazon Hulu is. It is a little bit on the pricey side, or it can be an add-on to your Amazon or Hulu, but HBO Now is about $15 a month, which is a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're thinking about what if you're paying $15 for that? What if you're paying for your Amazon? What if you're paying for your internet and everything else? And so they can definitely add up just to maybe watch one show, one series.
Is it really
I
worth
love
it?
Big Little Lies, and I don't know when I've turned on HBO since it's been off.
Right,
you know what I mean?
And those can cover utility bills and other types of bills. So it's important to, I guess, assess that. I know you want to get excited and jump on all of these great series and all of that. But, maybe a way to do that is to share something with friends, where you can have viewing parties with somebody who does have that, or maybe you can split some costs there. I guess there's a lot of ways that you can maybe catch up later, right? Might not be right now, but once the seasons are over and they have those later.
Right.
So something to think about in terms of that. And another thing that I wanted to bring up related to Golden Globes was the fact that everyone wore black. Everyone knows why they did that. And, the little black dress is an awesome way to affordably dress up for parties, galas, what have you. You can easily, have something in your closet that you can just glam up with jewelry and shoes and things like that. You can always dress it down, of course.
Right.
So I thought that was a good way to take, that tip from the Golden Globes, because everyone looked fabulous in different ways, all black though. And I did have a couple of dresses that I looked up. I wanted to see if I could find something similar to some of the stars. And I found this one dress that reminded me of Laura Dern's dress, which had the mesh detail at the top, and that was at Nordstrom's for $96.
Oh wow, okay.
Full length.
She looked great.
And she looked fabulous.
She's on Big Little Lies, fabulous. Yeah, she's great.
Reese Witherspoon, always one of my favorites, and she had a one shoulder dress, long as well, and I found something at David's Bridal for $139.95.
They sell like non-wedding dresses?
Well, the style is very conducive for bridesmaids dresses.
Okay, got it.
So that's actually how you can find great deals at David's Bridal, because they'll have all the sizes and all different colors. So it actually came in more than black.
That's a tip for
It had about 10 different colors there. So actually, that's a great store to hit up for dresses. And then Emilia Clarke had a deep V-neck detail in her gown. And I found it on 6pm.com. which is kind of like a wholesaler site.
Got it.
And that was $107.99. So great ways to dress up, you know, on a really good budget.
That's great. Look good in all black.
That's right. And so kicking that off in terms of spending and budgeting, this month is Dry January.
Dry January. For people that are participating in it.
Right. I didn't really know much about it, but it sounds like it's been around a while, and it became more known when a British campaign kicked off to address health issues, not so much budgeting.
It was a non-profit, right? It started back in 2013. That kind of launched it all. And basically you're trimming your waistline, but you are fattening your wallet because you're saving money.
Right.
By not drinking. And
you absolutely can save a lot by cutting back or not drinking at all, right?
It's crazy. You know, I have a few friends that are doing it, you know, and it's funny. I just had a conversation with my friend Tommy, and I was talking to him about it, and he was like, oh, it's been, you know, a challenge, especially when you're like having a great meal, like a steak, and you want to have like a martini or something with it. And I was like, well, how much do you think people are going to be like saving? He was like, billions.
Well, actually, I found some statistics about that. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumers spend about 1% of their annual income on alcohol on average, which doesn't seem a lot, but actually for an average household, that's about almost $600 a year just on drinks.
I mean, I can totally see that happening. I mean, just me, you know, the other day I was at dinner last week with some friends, you know, here in LA, and I ordered a margarita, and it was $21. I mean, it was 16 ounces. It wasn't like some crazy, massive, you know, 60-ounce thing, but it was $21. And I'm thinking like, wow, we haven't even really had our meal yet, and I've already, you know, spending over $20 just by having one drink. And I had another one, obviously, but so it was a hefty price tag.
Right, it can really add up. And a couple tips we wanted to share, obviously, is to take part in maybe some dry weeks or dry months.
Maybe like Dry Monday.
And actually,
when can I do it?
I know. And actually, you know, be cognizant of that money, and maybe at the end of the week, you know, really pull it aside and put it into your savings. Like I would have spent $50 this week on drinks, and so I'm actually gonna, you know, put that $50 into my savings account, or, you know, however you want to invest it, just to make that conscious effort. I think then you really will see how it adds up.
And I mean, if you still want to have, I think a lot of part of, you know, when it comes to drinking can be very social, and I think you still want to have like maybe even the taste and the flavors of things, and and there's other ways. I mean, there's a great company called Mocktails that I know about that sell like alcohol-free like cocktails, and the same ones that you would have maybe that you would order when you were out and about. I mean, obviously there's going to be, you know, a price associated with that. I think they're roughly about $7.99 for maybe like a 4-pack of like 7-ounce bottles. Or think about ways you can be creative at home and making your own. I mean, there's different ways to make like kombucha like cocktails. We've done it before. My you know, my friend and I, she makes kombucha like in her walk-in closet in the, like the darkness.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you can make like Moscow mules. We did like a margarita, like you know, a base where like the base of it, instead of having tequila, I mean, surely we could have added, you know, alcohol if we wanted to, but it still was great. And I'm like, and we're having kombucha and stuff too. Different. So there's a lot of different ways, I think, to be able to maybe save. Maybe if you don't want to pay to have mocktails, but still make like, you know, fun things like that at home with like sparkling water or whatever. And, and do
have
that.
a cocktail at home before you go out. Always, you know, looking at the happy hour specials, asking for at different bars. So a couple things to think about. You can always shop at wholesalers too, discount beverage companies for bottles of wine. So think about that this month and kick off your year saving a lot of money.
I'm not doing it, but you know, maybe I should have. Maybe I'll do a partial dry January starting the 15th.
Well, we'll check in with you next month and see how much Kerrie saves.
I know.
We're going to put you on the spot.
So do you want me to do, I will do, oh my gosh, I'm really committing to this. So I'm going to do a dry partial January starting the 15th.
For the next 2 weeks.
We'll see how much money I save.
And then track how much money you save.
I'll report February.
So come back for that.
Okay. I spent all the money.
So in terms of adding more money to your wallet, we did want to talk a lot about the fact that, you know, it was big news when Kat Sadler, host of E! News, had left the show because of salary reasons. It was reported that she found out that her co-host was making pretty much more than double than she was, and so she decided to leave. And actually today, the breaking news was that it was, I guess, released that Michelle Williams and Mark Wahlberg had a very big discrepancy. You know, that movie they had to reshoot because they had replaced Kevin Spacey. And pretty much she went back to do it almost free, and they ended up paying Mark Wahlberg $1.5 million.
Wow.
And she got a per diem of about $80 a day that ended up being about $1,000.
Wow.
So we don't know what necessarily happened in terms of, you know, each of them have negotiated, you know, their terms. But I think that in all fairness, if they realized he wanted some money, they were going to pay him that large amount, they probably, in fairness, since everyone really had to go out of their way to go back and reshoot, probably offer her, you know, something similar.
Yeah, you would think at least. I mean, even if he came with a demand to say, "Hey, I want this much amount of money," you think that maybe they would have just said, "Okay, we're going to just across the board be comparable for both,
right,
and compensate them fairly." But
wow,
that's interesting.
That was really big today. So we want to talk a little bit about, you know, how to negotiate for higher salary. What are things that you should think about if you're wanting to get a raise this year, or in fact looking for a new job? How to approach that? I think for women in particular, one big thing is that we really need to ask and do the negotiation. In this case, it sounds like maybe Michelle really wanted to do a good thing to save the project, and was like, I'll just do it, you know, for free pretty much. You don't even have to pay me. I believe in this project. I want it to be successful. And so a lot of times that's where women, you know, get cut short because they don't really even ask, right?
Right. Exactly.
And another thing to think about is do your research, right? There's so many sites today.
Yeah, Glassdoor is one that I know of a lot. It's kind of where it's you know, a job search, and as well as you can kind of see like regionally what people may typically be making that doing the same job that you're doing. You can kind of you know fill out as like an anonymous person and say, oh, I make this much amount of money, and this is what my responsibilities are. I work for this corporation. As well as when they're doing, when they're promoting job listings, they say like estimated salary would be between this and this for your market where you're at.
Right. So there's so much
potentially,
information
you know,
online.
Almost dropping my green tea. But yeah, so yeah, we don't want that to happen. But yeah, definitely, I think it's a good way. I think now, so you can kind of gauge to say, oh well, maybe I should be making more than what I'm making, or you know, my value here may be more than what I think that I'm getting, you know, paid for. So
right.
Way to evaluate
so much stuff online that you can find. Indeed also has information about salaries. LinkedIn has a salary page as well. Glassdoor. And in fact, you know, a couple things I looked up is that in general, a lot of people are afraid to really ask for a raise. Only 43% of survey respondents by a survey by PayScale, which is a consulting firm, you know, said they ever asked for a raise. So pretty much the first step is you need to get into the game, right? And initiate it.
Have that conversation.
And then, have the conversation, and then do your homework, obviously. Look at what other companies are paying for that same role. You know, maybe do some networking to find out from other people. A lot that you can do. So hopefully you can tackle that this year. And we'd love to hear, you know, what you've done or how successful you've been in getting a raise. So you can always shout out to us right now, or you can use the hashtag #TheCreditMix on Twitter. And for more information in general about topics like this, you can go to our blog at experian.com/education. And in fact, we have some great information coming up on the blog about an annual report that we've put out, which is called The State of Credit.
Yes.
Several articles are going to be posted about that.
We have a great article that's going to be hitting on our blog tomorrow on Thursday. A big, you know, piece covering lots of information, and then we'll have multiple articles following that'll, you know, kind of break down all that information as well too. And I think today we can just kind of even talking about just like credit card debt in general and how it's on the rise. And in 2017, you know, that there was increase with all generations, X, Y, you know, everyone there for the most part. So there's some great information that's going to come up in that piece about, you know, the rises in credit card debt. I think we're now in a time where there's so many reward cards and there's so many things. So I think people want to spend and take advantage of rewards. However, maybe not paying off those balances and now carrying more debt than what they did in the past. Right.
Absolutely. That's a question that, you know, we get a lot is about credit cards and handling debt. And this annual report covers a lot about credit, all kinds of different topics. But one of the big ones was credit card debt. And in fact, one of the biggest findings was that the credit card debt had passed $1 trillion for the first time since the Great Recession.
Wow. Wow.
And, you know, we've talked a little bit about that post-holiday, right? You're tackling your holiday spending, debt, and all of that. And so, you know, in particular to that, we wanted to add a special segment on the show.
Yes.
To answer your questions as they come in. Of course, you can always shout out to us during the show, and we'll try to tackle a question for you. But if you're not watching the show, you can always send us your questions anyways, and we will try to answer them.
Yeah. So we teased it. We actually teased it a little bit. Remember last week we kind of had a little bit to talk about, oh, we're going to maybe have this new segment popping in. And so finally it is here. It's a good Q&A, like you just mentioned. Good Q&A. And I like to call it Ask Susie. And Susie's going to be our credit expert here that will actually answer some questions for us from our audience.
So we did get one on Twitter.
We do.
And so we're going to kick it to Susie, and she's going to answer it for you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Sandra and Kerrie, and I'm so happy to be here. I love answering consumer questions, and I'm going to do this every week. So our first question comes from Lacey. She tweeted us, I just came into a windfall of money. Lucky you, Lacey. Good for you. So should I pay off my credit card debt quickly with that money, or should I pay it off slowly? Excellent question, Lacey, and I'm so glad you asked. So the answer is, it depends on how much that credit is costing you. Typically, credit cards are 18% interest. What that means is every single month you're going to be charged 18% interest for whatever the balance is that you're carrying on your card. So that means that it's, say your credit card is $3,000, that you've got a $3,000 balance on your credit card. It's going to be about a $60 per month payment, and that's going to add up to about $360 a year in interest, and it will take you more than 7 years to pay off that credit card. In addition, you're probably concerned about your credit score, and really credit scores are not benefited at all by trying to take that debt and paying off small payments slowly. So really it's all about how much it's going to cost you, Lacey, and my advice is, if you have a money windfall, pay off your credit card. That is going to improve your credit score, and it's actually going to save you a lot of money. So thanks again for the question. Lucky you. And all of you, please be sure to ask your questions, and I'll be here every week. So thanks again, and back to you, Sandra and Kerrie.
Thanks so much, Susie. Hopefully that information was helpful to you.
Yeah,
and
Ask Susie.
That's
I
right.
love it.
We look forward to getting more of your questions. And, you know, as a reminder, we're here every Wednesday about 9:30 a.m. on the Credit Mix. You can send your questions to Susie or always shout out comments to us on hashtag the Credit Mix. And for more information, you can always go to our blog. We have so many articles about saving, budgeting, credit cards, etc. at Experian.com/education.
Yes, check it out.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, this week, and we will see you next Wednesday.
That's it for today.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.